Let's get into it. Yo, I gotta be honest with you, man. I really slept on this album. So I heard this album for the first time like last week in full. That's crazy. This shit came out like 25 years ago, damn near. Um, and it holds up, actually. Like, some of these joints really do hold the fuck up. So let's talk about N.O.R.E. because I think, N.O.R.E.'s kind of getting his flowers a bit. But N.O.R.E.'s been dope. I remember when niggas was hating on N.O.R.E. like idiots. The first time I ever heard Nore, I think I might have mentioned this, but was no, what? Melvin Flint, the Hustler. That's when I got into Nore. That's '99, right? So I may have heard Super Thug before that, but I didn't listen to this album, even though I knew someone who had it because the album cover is just something that I saw, right? And through the years, I know various people who have had it, but I just never was like, yo, I gotta check this out. Because the thing with rappers like N.O.R.E. is obviously he's got some rhymes. He's lyrical to a certain point, like his rhymes are funny, but when you're not necessarily the most lyrical dude, it's really about the singles, right? So like having the right beat, something that like really catches fire, and in terms of like it's just a great record. And typically it's not like I'll dive into you as a album artist, right? Because again, the Jays and the Nas of the world, the Ghost Faces, they say more. So it makes you want to check out their albums. Their songs are structured more around a particular story or thought or like vibe or something like that. So these are like obviously with the really high level rappers. They're doing something sonically that makes you go, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna check out this entire shit. Whereas someone like N.O.R.E., it's like, yo, I like this one song, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna dive into your whole discography, right? But like I said, Melvin Flint, first time I ever heard N.O.R.E., and I liked the album. I thought it was okay. I mean, to be fair, there was only like really two cuts that stood out to me at that time. Oh No, for sure, and then probably my favorite N.O.R.E. record ever, Bloody Money Part 3. Like that shit, like, and it's interesting. I never saw the video until obviously like years later, right? Because at the time it was just an album cut for me. But it took me right back to Saudi days, man. I remember listening to that shit the first time and just being like, yo, this song is incredible. You know what I mean? Certain things just hit. So the point is, I'm now checking out this album for the first time. I don't know how I stumbled onto this album and was finally like, you know what, let me listen to this. You know what it was? Actually, I know exactly what it was. I think it's because, interesting enough, we were talking about tochiRTA. So, and I like the song Rikers Island. I've been listening to Rikers Island, the song, for a while. And when I started digging and being like, okay, well, the Dante Ross comments made me like go back and listen to some of these tochiRTA records. So, and I was looking and being like, okay, just in case I missed something, like tochiRTA, a verse or something that's really stands out, let me try and like find that shit, for the video. So then I saw like somehow I bumped into like N.O.R.E. and tochiRTA, and I was like, oh, they remade the song? Like, oh, I never heard this. And so I'm listening to 40 Island like, yo, this beat is nuts. And this is just a dope record in general. So that's what made me go, okay, I've seen this album, this N.O.R.E. album, over the years, and I've just never listened to it. I might be sleeping on some shit. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I was like songs like this, The Change. I was like, wow, so many songs go, and they obviously still sound great. So let me talk about the album overall. I think it's a good album. I would call this a good album. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a great album. I would say it's a very good album, all things considered, right? Because you've got some quality cuts on here. If I'm going down the list, right? Banned from TV. Obviously a classic record. To be honest with you, it's not like one of my favorite Swiss Beats records ever. And I don't really listen to Banned from TV. It's not a joint I ever really liked. I'm gonna be honest with you. I heard that shit in real time and I just remember not being too crazy about it. You know what I mean? Like certain songs just never warmed up to me. And I think Banned from TV, I can appreciate the song. The verses are nice, pun and nature and like the vibe is cool, but it's never been a song that I'm like, yo, I love this record personally. But it's a cut. It's definitely a classic record. So I'd put that. We've got that. I love my life. I know some people who like the song. I'm not crazy about the song, to be honest with you. I wouldn't put this as one of the standout cuts to me personally, but I'm sure there are people who would, disagree with me. N.O.R.E, N.O.R.E, that just sounds like the generic Trackmasters of the day. Head, I don't remember the song even, and I just listened to this album. Don't care. It's Not a Game. This Jose sample. Oh man, this is a dope record actually. Again, like I started, once I got to 40 Island, I think this was like the second song I checked out that I hadn't heard of, and I was listening to it going like, oh, there's some cuts on this album. So it made me go deeper and deeper. I do think this is a standout song. It's Not a Game. Check it out. The guy named SBK made the beat. I like this record a lot. Fiesta. This was okay. It's a good song. It's very much in the vein of shit that you would hear in 98, to be honest with you. Like when I heard it, I was like, yeah, this sounds like some 98 shit. Like in a good way and in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? Like in a good sense that like in terms of that sound, it's one of the better ways that it was done, but it sounds like 98. It's a little generic in that regard. 40 Island, which might be my favorite song period on this entire album. You know what I mean? And then after that, maybe this song, The Change. But I'm getting to that. The Way We Live, this was okay. The Change. This beat's nuts. Yo, this beat is crazy, actually. Like, low key. It reminds me of some, like, West Coast, like, it gives me this West Coast vibe for some reason, but it's fire. Like, it's fire. I would love to know how this shit even came about, like, because it's a weird beat to me. Especially for a New York dude to rock at that time. But anyway, I like that record a lot. Of course, Super Thug, fucking classic. What? Classic. So for me, like, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4 superb songs at least on this album so far, and I'm 3/4 of the way through. The story is it's cool. Mathematics, the one that's playing right now, I fuck with. I like this song. It's just fun. Esta, Loca. It's cool. It's all right. The Assignment, not too crazy about the song. Not bad. And Body in the Trunk, I know people are going to be like, Tochi, how do you not like this song? How do you not love this record? I was never crazy about the song. The beat just didn't do it for me, really. And then One Love, I don't even remember this fucking record, to be honest with you. Let me play this shit, One Love, because I don't know if I can remember this. Did I even listen to this song? Oh, it's just shout outs and shit. That's why I didn't listen to this shit. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Oh, it's probably like maybe something from Capone, like, one of the messages or something like that, because I think at the time, was Capone locked up or something like that? And then obviously that's what made him go solo or something like that. And obviously worked for him. I never was crazy. Yeah. I was never crazy about this beat, honestly. So, I mean, overall, I think this is a good album, man. Like, if I can listen to something 25 years after the fact, I'm talking songs I've never heard. I've literally never heard 40 Island, right? And never heard The Change, okay? Never. Up until last week or some shit, right? Like, and I'm still like, and I'm playing them like regularly. That means they were incredible. And the stuff that's great obviously holds up. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a surprise to me that N.O.R.E is still relevant, quote unquote, because when you really look at N.O.R.E, and again, I've put him on the list of greatest rappers ever. He is one of the greatest rappers ever. I'm not saying he's top 20, maybe not even top 30 like that. But the point is, N.O.R.E is certainly one of those great rappers, right? Like, he has charisma, obviously. Like I said, rap is a charisma game. You're not going to find like that many rappers who are more charismatic than N.O.R.E. Like, let's be honest here. Like, and I'm talking about throughout history, obviously, right? Like, N.O.R.E has a certain thing. And the thing with N.O.R.E is when you hear N.O.R.E, you know it's him, right? This is really important. right? To sound great and also to stand the fuck out, right? N.O.R.E has a certain way that he flows where it's like, this is N.O.R.E. You can just tell, right? And it might seem like something you don't really care or think about, but that's actually really important. The way that you can actually sound unique and be dope at the same time, that's like great level rapper shit. You know what I'm saying? And it takes time. It's not something that just comes out the gate. You know what I'm saying? You got to work on your flow. You got to figure it out, right? N.O.R.E's dope. I've always liked N.O.R.E. Like I said, Melvin Flint, I always liked N.O.R.E. I liked N.O.R.E for a couple songs. I wasn't like, N.O.R.E like as a super fan. And, even listening to this album, I can kind of see why like I wouldn't put N.O.R.E in the top 20 because ultimately N.O.R.E isn't really talking about anything like super deep in a sense, or not even super deep, but like, you know, something that I think is like that's really captivating that can sustain a whole album, if that makes sense. Like, he's just like this Puerto Rican guy who like loves head and like says funny shit. He used to sell crack. He loves, arroz con pollo or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Like I said, for a couple of songs, it's great. It's funny. It's witty. It's really cool. Like, I'm not knocking it, but again, this is very different from someone like a Nas that we talk about, who is like saying so much. Just like just talking about whether it be his life, other people's lives, things going on in QB, his reflections on crime in general, like that's the kind of shit that can sustain a whole album. You know what I'm saying? Or Jay, just like the way that he loves business, for example, or is always fascinated with trying to stack his paper, but at the same time, he's really into just a witty dude, and with the gun bars and the pimp bars or whatever. Like a lot of that stuff, it can sustain a whole album, right? These are multifaceted people, and I think this is kind of the point, right? When you start to see like the great rappers, even like someone you would put in, let's say, like top 40, right? You'd say, okay, this person is like the 40th greatest rapper. There is a difference between someone who's the 40th greatest rapper and the 5th greatest rapper ever. Do you know what I'm saying? There is a very clear demarcation. And a lot of that has to do with depth, right? The depth of what they're saying, more the depth of the beats that they're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like N.O.R.E, the beats he's getting are dope, but they're not standard necessarily. I wouldn't call them that, but they're great. They're great beats, but they're not beats that transport you necessarily to another world, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like Nas has certain beats, Star Wars, like you just like it's the rise and fall. Fuck, let me play that shit. You hear the rise and fall, and you're like, where the fuck am I right now? That's what I'm saying. Like, those are the beats that take you, that make you like that legendary rapper, right? Because you're just like, where am I right now? This is fucking crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you need these. You know what I'm saying? Young Jules. Ghetto was Kool. This shit. It's 94. And then you record store. Speak. Now I'm who they're checking for. You see what I'm saying? Certain rappers have these songs, right? This Can't Be Life, Jay. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain, like, they've gotten incredible beats that allow them to be a little bit more introspective, and say some interesting shit. So, even where I'm from, just some darker, some weirder shit, right? Again, the Forest, Ghostface. Like, when you get certain beats that people wouldn't typically even use, but you rock it and you make it memorable, that's, of course, when you start to really climb the ladder into the top 20s of the world, right? So, all in all, good album. I enjoyed listening to it overall. The songs started to kind of blend together a little bit after a while. So, like I said, I wouldn't call it a classic album by any means of the imagination. I would just say it's a good album because it has at least 4 standout songs that still hit 25 years later. That's a good fucking album. You know what I'm saying? It's better than, again, a lot of this stuff that y'all be calling classic that don't even have one song that stands out. And it won't stand out 25 years from now. Do you know what I'm saying? So the fact that N.O.R.E was at least able to craft like 4, 5, even arguably 5 or 6 songs that like still hit to this day 25 years ago shows you that, you know what I mean? Like N.O.R.E was on some shit. He was that guy. A lot of people don't have records like that, man. You know, it's only, you know, it starts to get into a select few after a while when you start to really look at this catalog. Now, honestly, on a final note, I had tried to do a producer list. So you know how on my hip hop IG at Hip Hop Tochi, by the way, for those of y'all who want to know, but I have a 50 MCs list that I've done, and I think it's a pretty good list. It's probably the best list on the internet. I'm gonna keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, like, because you know a lot of these people, like I said, don't know what they're talking about, right? They don't. So yes, I would love to do a producer list. The only thing is, it's hard. It's actually really hard to do a producer list when I think about it. Like, I had attempted to do one, and I was like, it's easy. Like, what was interesting is that to me, it got really easy in the top 5 for me personally, because I would just put Premier at number 1. You know, maybe put Timbaland number 2. But I mean, also these are kind of my favorites as well. So like Primo, Timbaland, RZA somewhere in the top 5, maybe like number 3 or number 4. Havoc, might put Havoc somewhere in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? So like it got easier towards like Swizz Beatz would be like somewhere in the top 10, maybe like 9th or something. So towards like that, it's a lot easier with people who obviously the catalog is massive. But when you start to look at producers like, I would say not in the top 20, but who are like clearly incredible producers who've made a lot, there's a lot of producers. That's the thing with rap. Rap is a beat-driven genre. There are a lot of great producers throughout history who've made incredible records. Some of them who've gotten credit, who haven't gotten credit. So that's where it got really difficult, because it's like, how do I rate, for example, Easy LP ahead of Rockwilder? Would I put him ahead of Rockwilder? I don't think I would. Like, you know, like either way, they're both fantastic producers. Now, I would say that Primo has made more bangers than both of them, right? Like I would put Primo ahead of Easy LP, for example, and I would put Primo ahead of Rockwilder. But would I put Rockwilder in front of Easy LP or the other way around? I don't know if I would. You know what I'm saying? That's my point. This is where it got really difficult for me. So I obviously kind of like pause on that. I may revisit it at some point, but it's hard. Let me just say that. It's really hard. Fuck with it. Oh, don't fuck with it. Hey, okay, Gizzly bent. Attack, you got your knot split. Been nasty. This is, been listening to this a lot too. So I might revisit it, but for now, I'm just kind of, leave it alone. But again, the point is rap, beats. You gotta focus on these beats, man. The producers need to get more credit. I'm always trying to shout out producers because I really think they are the heartbeat of this entire shit. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have good production, you are done. You know what I'm saying? You know how many, garbage ass rappers are getting launched with great beats, a lot of times pretty good beats, It's rare that you'll see the other way around where it's like the rapper's amazing, but the beat's trash. I mean, that's rare, and then they just launched their career. A lot of times you need that beat, man. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the producers really need to get their credit, There's a lot of great ones throughout history. Hard for me to really narrow it down and put like a whole top 50 and be like, this person, right? It was easier with rappers because, rappers, they're lucky in that regard because they're able to pick, right? Obviously, right? Like Nas has gotten, amazing Primo beats, amazing Pete Rock beats, amazing Timbaland beats, right? So it's like, it's a lot easier to be like, these songs hit, right? But to try and trace the other way around, like all the shit that Timbaland's done for people, all the stuff Easy LP's done for people, that's a harder thing. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, peace and love. Blood World, love y'all. Peace.